Do not for a second think that men and women are equal in the Guru's Darbar, for the Guru cannot recognize equality between two that are one. Equality is a word outwardly that we use politically to make a correct statement. Like, I love my children equally, we say, because we see two. But how can you have equality between one and one? When Maharaj looks and sees an ocean of love, they don't see anything other than that jyot. That being said, just because Maharaj looks upon us all equally does not mean that we are the same. And we have to address this because we've been educated with a Western understanding. And that Western understanding has indoctrinated us with such a poisonous state of mind that we're chasing things that are going to cause us such pain. How did it become acceptable that somebody outside the Guru's Darbar could tell us what that female energy should be and whether we should shun it or say thank you for it? We sit in the Darbar of the Guru and say that women are not equal to men, they're far superior. And lads, there's no point trying to get there because it's divinely indoctrinated this way. We don't seek equality where the Guru has divined it this way. It's a chance for us to celebrate, to unlearn and relearn. Param Satkar Yog, Guru Khalsa Sangat Ji, Gaj Vaj ke Fateh bulao, Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh. We're blessed to be in the company of Sri Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj, Shahidan de Sartaj. We're blessed to be in the company of Sri Guru Arjan Dev Ji in their 11th, in their eternal form, Sahib Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. As we have this mauka, this opportunity to be brought together in the company of the Sadh Sangat, to vibrate upon the Shabad, to reflect upon our itihas, that in this way, that which stirs inside of us, is brought truly to life. In the world we celebrate today, across the world, different people will celebrate on different days the celebration of Mother's Day. And across the world, as people gather in their families to reflect upon their mothers and to share cakes and biscuits and tea in a reflection, the practice is one of shukrana, one of gratitude. Be Mother, this is a day that we dedicate to you to recognize the sacrifices that you have made for me. Be Mother, you are that one that fed me when I was a child. You are that one that looked after me and clothed me and in essence raised me. And so this day in the Western world, we have this celebration of Mother's Day. And as we were undertaking the Khoj, the research as to the history of Mother's Day, for we have our own mothers in the Sikh Panth, which is obviously what we're going to do vichar on today. We learned that in this dark age of Kal Yug, that one person who was in fact lobbying government to introduce this day into the world, which commenced in the United States, after Mother's Day had been accepted by the Senate and was being put out as something that we should recognize across the United States, and obviously it would have come across the pond, and we would adopt this tradition in the West and the other parts of Europe. She would go on to campaign that we should stop celebrating Mother's Day. That this tradition of celebrating Mother's Day, her intention was to bring about a respect, a remembrance, and a state of shukrana, a state of appreciation for our mothers. But her complaint, which she took to the courts, was that companies had commercialized this day. And they'd made it into about spending money. And they'd made it into about elaborate shows. And in the States, Mother's Day, for a short period of time, perhaps mockingly, became known as Hallmark Day. Hallmark is a special card company where you go and buy the cards. So Hallmark would celebrate as a day that they would make a fortune because everybody would spend money on these expensive cards. And that campaigner, whose name now escapes me, that Gauri, she was campaigning, she goes, this was not my intention. When I took this forward, it was about showing love for your mother. It was about showing appreciation for your mother, and it's been lost in this commercial reality. And I just, as I was preparing the vichar, the gatha, how to talk about our mothers in the context of our sisters today, in some ways, we can draw a parallel to our own itihas and what we have lost in terms of the values, that female energy that our mothers have borne down upon us, and where we now stand in respect to those teachings. If we look at how far, in many respects, we have come as sons and daughters of our mothers, it's a chance to have an honest, hard reflection. When we celebrate our itihas, do we still have that connection? Do we still have that understanding of who our mothers were? That patron who had brought about through much campaigning, the celebration, the induction, the bringing forth of a new day, Mother's Day, she would go on to campaign that it should be shut down. Because she was saying this is no longer about those mothers and celebration. And they would bring lawsuits against companies that were exploiting this day. What Sikhya can we learn from this? Who are our mothers? And how far has the apple fallen from the tree, so to speak? How far have we come from those Sikhya, those teachings? And what are we propagating on our Mother's Day? What teachings are we taking from the Guru as we celebrate our mothers? As we began this vichar together, the Mangal that we vibrated upon, that we reflected upon, is a very famous Shabad. Mata Pani Ji, the Mahal, the wife of Sri Guru Ram Das Ji Maharaj, the mother of Sri Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj. It is said by some that the Shabad that we celebrated together and we vibrated upon just a few moments ago, this was the Sikhya that she would give her son. When Guru Ram Das Ji is sending Arjan Dev, Guru Arjan Dev Ji, as they would go on to become, when they're sending their son far away from Amritsar Sahib to go to Pind Chuna Mundi to oversee the wedding affairs of their nephew Bhai Sihari Mal, knowing that it might be many days before she sets sights upon her beloved son again, she takes the opportunity to give her son some Sikhya. What does she say? She says, Puta, Mata ki asisa, Nimak na bisaro tumko har har, sada pajo jagdisa. They say, it's the mother's wish for you, my child. O Arjan Dev, Pota, be Mata ki asis. This is the blessing that I bestow upon you. Be Nimak na bisaro tumko har har, sada pajo jagdish. I wish upon you one thing, sada pajo, that you constantly vibrate upon the name of God. Akho Satanam Sri. The mother of Sri Guru Arjan Dev Ji is giving this Sikhya because that is the energy of a mother. That one who is fostering and in charge, as politically incorrect as it might be now to say in this age of political correctness where we can't speak simple truths, like the role of a mother is to raise a baby and child and to care for and nurture that child. That in later years the role of a father will come in, but purely biologically the provision of food and milk and the ability to give that feminine energy, to give that strength, that Shakti. The mother from that angle is speaking to her son and she says, my only wish as you leave my company, and it turns out that Guru Arjan Dev Ji would be away for over a year. In some historical accounts for 3 years. At the age of 15 years old, Guru Arjan Dev Ji is being sent away. She says, my wish for you is that you constantly and forever remember Parameshwar Waheguru. Sada pajo jagdisa. Satguru tumko hoye diyala, sant sang teri preeta. That you will know, my son, that the Guru has been kind to you if within your heart you have love for the Sangat. Let's just have a little reflection on that for a second. Mataji is saying, Guru Sahib, Guru Arjan Dev Ji, the Shabad is enshrined in the form of Guru Arjan Dev Ji. Maharaj is saying, Satguru tumko hoye diyala. You will know that the Guru has been compassionate to you if within your heart, within your mind, the foreigner has been placed. The gem, the jewel has been placed within your mind, that you have love for the Sangat. What Shakti is this that is being bestowed? What direction is the mother directing the child towards? The mother is directing that child towards the Gurughar. As we can translate it today, is where are our mothers taking us today? We're hearing so many examples of students that are struggling to come into Sikhi, not because of peer pressure at university, not because of the pressures outside, but because their own mothers, their own fathers are objecting to this transition, this change. How far have we come from that energy, that female energy of celebration that would draw so many towards the house of the Guru? Those same mothers that we rely upon for that energy, for that Shakti, for that guidance, that wisdom, and it is wisdom. To say to your child, but you'll know that you're skillful in your mind. You'll know you're blessed within your mind if the Guru has bestowed upon your mind a love for the Sangat. Not the other way around. Listen very carefully to what Guru Sahib is saying. Maharaj is not saying, I hope you're popular in the Sangat. This is what our mothers wish, that our children are popular, they've got lots of friends. Mataji is not saying that. She's saying that I hope in your mind that you have popularity for the Sangat in your mind. In other words, it's important that your mind is so enriched with the love for the Sangat that this is the gift that I wish for you. Not that you are popular in the Sangat, but within your mind, there is a catch for you to want to be in the Sangat. Satguru tumko hoye diyala sant sang teri preet. You will know that the Guru is kind to you if you have this bakshish in your mind. I have a friend of mine. He's closer to me than a friend, in fact. And he lives very far away. But he's met Sangat in the east and west part of London. He lives about a couple hundred miles away. But his love for the Sangat is such that whenever he gets a chance, he's jumping on a coach to come to London just to spend time in the Sangat of the Guru. Akho Satanam Sri. But what blessing is this? Is it the case that he has that catch? Or is it the case that the Guru has been dayalu, has been compassionate towards him by allowing him to have love for the Sangat? We take so much credit for these gifts, for these states of mind. Even to have that book, even to have that dukh of separation, of vichora, dukh vichora, even to have that in your mind. Maharaj says, Vismad Pukha. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj gives us this teaching that it is beautiful to have a hunger in your heart. And you're thinking, how can it be that I'm blessed if I've got a hunger? Surely it's best to be completely sustained, that you have a full belly. No, because it's the hunger that drives you to make those journeys. It's the hunger that drives you to come towards the Guru. But it's for our mothers to make those ardasa that we are fulfilled with that hunger. Guru Pyari Sadh Sangat Ji, do not for a second think that men and women are equal in the Guru's darbar. Do not for a second think that men and women are equal in the Guru's darbar, for the Guru cannot recognize equality between two that are one. Equality is a word outwardly that we use politically to make a correct statement. Like, I love my children equally, we say, because we see two. But how can you have equality between one and one? When Maharaj looks and sees an ocean of love, they don't see anything other than that jyot. Maharaj says, Ek nadar kar vekhe sab uppar. Ek nadar, from one glance of grace, they see all. Ek nadar kar vekhe sab uppar. Jeha pao, teha fal paiye. The only reason that some are ahead and some are behind is not by distinction of the Guru, not by the Guru discriminating between men and women. For the Guru knows no distinction. Ek nadar, from one glance of grace, Maharaj looks down upon us all. Ek nadar kar vekhe sab upar, from above. Jeha pao, but those that have love in their heart, teha fal paiye, they are the ones that will move forward and backwards accordingly. Guru Pyari Sadh Sangat Ji, that being said, we're going to get into the realms, we're going to get into the controversial realms of equality now. But just because Maharaj looks upon us all equally does not mean that we are the same. We have only got to look at us physically to look at the attributes of a man and a woman to realize physiologically, Biologically, there is difference. And we have to address this because we've been educated with a Western understanding. And that Western understanding has indoctrinated us with such a poisonous state of mind that we're chasing things that are going to cause us such pain. I'm going to clarify what I mean by that. In the West, they qualify equality as the treatment of two people in exactly the same way. How can you treat two different people exactly the same way, ignoring their differences? And so what happens is, we have a practice now where women are looking at men and the way they're being treated and saying that we should be treated in exactly the same way. And in so doing this, the celebration of what makes that feminine energy so great is being destroyed. We have the worst aspects of male failure being uptaken and adopted by our sisters. I remember going to weddings in the 80s when I was a monna. I used to have cut hair, I used to drink, I used to eat meat and recreational drugs and all of these things in the 90s, in the 2000s. And it would be men that had been taken over by this poison of alcohol. Men had been taken over by this poison, but the female energy of our sisters that knew that their nobility was required to be remained intact. They would look at the state of the men of those houses and they would take a higher stance. For they knew that those children would have to be taken to school tomorrow. And these men that had made a state of themselves in the company of other men. We're literally talking about men who are behaving like they're amali. And it would be the mothers of those houses that would hold the man of those houses. And I can distinctly remember, and maps, you've got similar pictures of these weddings, where it would be women at 10, 11 o'clock at night, as men's shirts are disheveled, as they're soaked in sweat, covered in alcohol. It'd be women, it would be the mothers of our houses that would uphold the sanctity, whatever remains of the sanctity of that house at least, that would be carrying those men home, enduring that abuse. For they knew that there was children that were dependent upon someone standing forward and maintaining the honor of that house. And those women didn't lower themselves to seek equality in the depths of depravity of men. That men, those men who were in the gutter, in the sewers, that were suffering, the women of our houses had such sikya, had such gyan, they didn't seek to be treated equally and to be allowed to destroy themselves in some mistaken, some false sense of equality by becoming amali next to their male counterparts. And now what we're seeing is something quite worrying. We're seeing our sisters saying, if men can behave this way, the value system that we've been indoctrinated with is that men and women should be treated equally. Men do not get berated for this. Men don't get discriminated against for behaving in such a way. We should do this too. We should be able to get hammered and get drunk and destroy ourselves without being judged. But the question is wrong. The statement is wrong. Why would you seek equality in the gutter? Why is it that if we see people suffering in the gutter, that you would deprave yourself as sisters and seek equality of treatment, of non-judgment in the gutter? Why would you give up the honor of being those that are responsible for holding the honor of the house of the Guru, the honor of our itihas, the honor of our legacy? Why would we deprave ourselves or deprive ourselves of that to seek equality in the gutter? The question is wrong. We never look at the question and seeing who is manipulating the question into our mind. Mostly the people that put this into your mind, that you're being treated negatively or being discriminated against, and that you should do this free of judgment, and you should deprave yourself, they're already in the gutter. Nobody with any mind would suggest that you should do this. Maharaj says, Durmat mad jo peevate, bikhli pat kamali, Ram rasayan, jo rate, Nanak, sach amali. Maharaj says, Durmat mad, that if you have a low state of mind, mad, alcohol, jo peevate, that if you drink alcohol, Durmat mad jo peevate, bikhli pat kamali. They're saying, if you lower the vibration of your house in such a way, what will happen is, it doesn't matter whether the women of those same houses are drinking, lads. The vibration of that house is going to be lowered in such a way. The Faridkot Tika gives us a teaching that the vibration and the level of respect of the other people in that house will also be lowered as they follow that example. Durmat mad jo pivate bikhali pat kamali Ram rasayan jo rate Nanak sacha amali. Maharaj says, if you want to be an amali, be a true amali, drink the nectar of the name of God. Akho Sattanam Sri. Going back to the example, that vivid picture that remains in my mind, that is almost on the level of fiction, as men would be staggering out of party halls, drunk, depraved, covered in alcohol and sweat. And the women of those houses would hold it together because they had the gyan to know that I'm not going to follow this. This isn't equality, this is gand. As the women would hold it together and endure such horrendous examples of what a household should have to endure. How many of those households would see those men eventually look to those singniya as they sober up in the morning and say, actually, you're right? How many of those houses would turn around and eventually see those men look to those women that had the strength, who were steadfast within their own being, and say, actually, you're right, I've got to put this behind me? How many men sit with the stara and lambedariya in the darbar of the Guru in houses because of the strength and the shakti of that female energy that held it down? Guru Pyari Satsang Ji, the strength of our silent sisters, the strength of our silent mothers that don't scream from the rooftops about their endurances, they don't scream from the rooftops about what they have had to accomplish and achieve, that doesn't speak of the patience and the shakti of what faith they have maintained in the most difficult circumstances, cannot be overstated. And so in my mind, do not think for a second that men and women are equal. For our sisters, our mothers are far superior. Maharaj says, So kyo manda akhiye jit janame raja. Why do we look to those and berate them? You have to understand, Maharaj is looking at the contextual time when women were regarded as second-class citizens. Maharaj says, So kyo manda akhiye jit janame rajan. How can you look down on women? For it is through women that kings are born. And this is often used as a justification to say that without women there'd be no kings. But Guru Pyari Satsang Ji, we're going to go a little bit further on this. My sisters, if you are blessed with a gift, if someone has got the ability to do something which nobody else can do, and you look at geniuses in this world, whether they be sports geniuses like Messi or Ronaldo, whether they be intellectual geniuses, we say you've got no right to abandon or not fully pursue that gift. But you've got a gift, you've got to use that gift. Guru Pyari Satsang Ji, if our mothers have been blessed with the gift of drawing forth divine souls from the heavens, if our mothers and the sisters that sit before me are blessed with the gift of having the potential to draw forth from the heavens divine souls that will be Khalsa in this world, do we not have an obligation to foster that gift also? Do we not have an obligation to see that as a gift and celebrate that? Why is it so important that we speak about this on Mother's Day? Because we're seeing so many sisters being taught a lie. That by having children, or by being that divine gift, by personifying that divine gift of being a mother in this world, that in somehow you are denying yourself this opportunity to be a slave in the rat race of commerce. But who created this nonsense in the 60s and fed it to all of our mothers and sisters? Did you know in the 50s and 60s, there were studies with mothers who felt that they were missing out because they had to stay at home, and they thought that by being in the workplace that they were in somehow that their lives would be enriched. And the social psychologists would undertake the experiments in the 50s and 60s when this change would take place, where mothers would abandon that role of being a mother and say, I want to be treated equally. Now that word equal has got a funny connotation to it. When those mothers would give up the opportunity to fulfill that divine gift of being a mother first and foremost, to nurture that energy within a child, Puta Mata ki asis nimakane bisaro tumko har har sada pajo jagdish. That I'm going to raise a king in this house, a Khalsa. That those same studies repeated in the 70s, and they found there was far more discontent as that sacred divine connection between children and the mother had been severed to an extent. Guru Pyari Sad Sangat Ji never forget or abandon the gifts that we have been bestowed. When Maharaj says, Sokyo manda akiye jit janame rajan, Maharaj is saying to the whole of humanity, we don't disregard women because they give birth to kings. They are an equal, if not a raised status to men. But to the Singhaniya, to our sisters, they're saying, yo, you've been given a gift. Don't let anybody sell you a lie that such a thing is not a divine gift. How can we understand this is a divine gift? We'll go to the greatest example of the previous century, Sant Jarnail Singh Ji Khalsa Pindranwale. In my mind, the greatest scholar, the greatest warrior, the greatest saint that would walk upon this earth in the previous century, bar maybe their own Ustad, and a few great Gurmukhs in that Sant Samaj. When Sant Jarnail Singh Ji would beg for darshan of Sri Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj, when their Nityanayam was so long that it cannot be mentioned here, that they would do over 100 Sri Japji Sahib Path a day, in addition to the Nityanayam and the Katha and the Santya that they would pakar. When Sant Jarnail Singh Ji would long for the darshan of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj and he was not forthcoming, who would they go to? We look to that great picture, we see pictures and videos of Sant Jarnail Singh Ji, and we see them and we think you would go to no one for nothing. You want for nothing, for you are the one that liberates the Khalsa and brings those out into sobriety. You are the one that goes into the villages and educates and gives Guru Sikhi. If you're the giver of Guru Sikhi, if you're the one that liberates those that have been caught in alcohol and drugs, and you're bringing people into Sikhi, then you want for nothing. To whom then would Sant Jarnail Singh Ji Khalsa Pindranwale, who would they go to make their supplication? They would go to their mother, Mata Sahib Deva. Mata Sahib Deva would grant them darshan. And Sant Ji would say to Mata Sahib Deva, Mata Ji, my father Guru Gobind Singh Ji is not giving me darshan. But you are the one that can open that door. It is your Shakti that I now bow before. It is your Shakti. It is the Bhagoti that we bow to. When we say Sri Bhagoti Ji Sahai Var, Sri Bhagoti Ji ki Pachai Dasmi Pritam Bhagoti Simar ke Guru Nanak Lenti Ai. Maharaj is giving us the instruction, before you recognize and bow to Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, recognize Bhagoti. What is Bhagoti? Bhagoti is the female Shakti of the sword. That sword that whips through the air is the feminine energy that Maharaj is referring to of Chandi. Sri Bhagoti Ji Sahai. Don't think for a second that it's not anything else than the feminine energy that we go to. Sri Bhagoti Ji Sahai, Pritam Bhagoti Simar ke Guru Nanak Lenti Hai. Then we go to the charan of Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Akho Sattanam Sri. And in this way, that example is personified. That example is personified because Sant Jarnail Singh Ji to have darshan of Sri Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj, which Mata Ji would facilitate. Mata Ji would draw forth Sri Guru Gobind Singh Ji's darshan for Sant Jarnail Singh Ji Khalsa Pindranwale. Guru Pyari Sad Sangat Ji, specifically to my sisters, this false house of assumptions that we're building on very fake foundations, that somehow, if you want to see what you're missing out on, look at what the boys are doing. And you'll find what you're missing out on. It's nonsense. This false sense of assumptions that if somehow the lads are doing something and they're not being discriminated against it for doing this, that somehow you've automatically got to find that. It's wrong. If we look to our history, we have been led by that female energy. The nobility of that energy has been celebrated. When we go back to the earliest examples of Mata Kiviji, the male, the wife of Bhai Lena, Sri Guru Angad Dev Ji Maharaj. they would serve with that feminine energy. They were so beautiful and they were so enamoring with their love to the Sangat. They're regarded as having such a strong, emboldened energy. And this is at a time when the prevailing attitude towards women before Sikhi in the indigenous culture of the land, of the Indian subcontinent, put women into second-class categories. So we're talking about a time where when a man would die in the Hindu Dharam, they would say there's no use for this woman to remain. They would throw her on the fire pyre, the funeral pyre. They would call it sati. In that place of darkness, of such degradation towards women, Mata Kivi Ji is heralded as the one that would provide protection and sanctuary to the whole of men and women in that area. Balwand Kivi Nek Jan, Jis Bahuti Chao Patarali. Langar Daulat Vandiye, Ras Amrit Khira Kiali. Balwand, the famous Kirti, he says, Balwand Kivi Nek Jan. Maharaj praises that energy, that female energy. What is she being praised for? She's being praised for the way that she would lead the kitchen, the langar that Guru Nanak Dev Ji had initiated. Mata Kivi Ji, our grandmother, she is forever enshrined in the praise of Sadguru Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. Would anybody dare to say that in some way that is sexist or derogatory towards Mataji because she's in the kitchen? These are Western understandings that have been implicated upon us in a design to simply increase the workforce and to break our sisters and our mothers from that divine gift of what it means to serve with compassion. We're being taught that if we value that feminine energy and we foster that and we celebrate that, that somehow we are losing who we really are. No, Sadh Sangat Ji. It's when we move away from that divine energy that is imbued in us as the female Khalsa that we are losing who we are. Balwand Kivi Nek Jan, Maharaj says that she's the most noble. The word used, Nek Jan, that she's the most noble. Jis Bahuti Chao Patarali. Patarali meaning that patar like a leaf. Patarali, that one like a leaf, is the metaphor for that one that gives shade. So that beautiful nature is such that she lends an embrace to the Sangat. She's the shade under which the Sangat would come. And they would receive that soothing nature of shade. Langar Daulat Vandiye. She would serve langar in this way. Ras Amrit Khira Kiali. She would serve kheer. She was famous for the kheer of the langar of Sri Guru Angad Dev Ji's house. She was famous for the kheer of Mata Kivi Ji's house. But she wasn't just serving kheer. She was giving Amrit. Akho Satanam Sri. Guru Pyari Sadh Sangat Ji, we have to learn to unlearn. We have to learn to unlearn what we are being indoctrinated against. There's never been a time in history where there has been more mental unwellness as recorded by NHS stats. There's never been a time in history where we've been plagued with more mental illness as we've been the subject of a social experiment, as governments and think tanks have tried to impress upon us a re-education of how we should define ourselves. When did we go to somebody outside the Guru's Darbar to be educated as to who we are as men and women, as mothers and fathers and sons and daughters of the Guru? How did it become acceptable that somebody outside the Guru's Darbar could tell us what that female energy should be and whether we should shun it or say thank you for it? And let's be clear, Sadh Sangat Ji, so there's no misunderstanding. This does not mean that we are in some way relegated to the kitchen and we are somehow regarded as second-rate citizens. Let's be clear. When Sri Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj would leave this world in the physical sense, but they would enshrine themselves in the Shabad forever, who was it that led the Guru Khalsa for 40 years? Mata Sundari Ji. We were led by this feminine energy that was never abandoned. But at the same time, as Mata Sundari Ji would lead the Guru Khalsa, she led us as Mata Ji. Guru Pyari Sadh Sangat Ji, why is this conversation so important? We have to look to our households. What example, what is it that as mothers we are directing our children towards? Because the Sikha from the Guru is that as a mother, we should be directing our children in that Sikha that you should be joined with a love for the Shabad. That you should look out in your mind to see if you have love for the Sangat. This means I have done my job. How many mothers are measuring themselves? How many older sisters are measuring themselves by how much love they are instilling in their younger sisters and their daughters for the Sangat? It's a good measure. Guru Pyari Sadh Sangat Ji, what do our children watch as they sit in our laps right now? Who is sanaying the Nityanem to our little sisters? Who is sanaying our Nityanem to our daughters from the laps, the Godi? Guru Pyari Sadh Sangat Ji, we do well to remember this. We are so keen to give words of advice. I saw a really powerful example. As we sit together on Mother's Day, celebrating our mothers is a chance to look at the current situation, be what of our mothers and sisters, because it is from them that the next generation of kings and Singhaniya and queens and princesses will be born. We're so keen to give lectures with our words, but I saw it so patently described that an elder is saying to a younger, as we walk on this road, be very careful where you put your feet. There's lots of potholes in this path. Looking down on the younger. The younger looks back at the elder and says, you're telling me to be careful, but you be careful. I'm only placing my feet where you go on to stand. Why is this such a powerful opportunity? Because oftentimes, Guru Pyari Sadh Sangat Ji, for whatever reason, we have a difficulty looking in the mirror at ourselves. And we don't think that we can do great things for ourselves. But as soon as the opportunity arises to say, will you stand for your little brother? Everybody puts their chest out, I'll die for my little brother. As soon as the opportunity presents itself, will you stand for your sister? The sister says, where's the fire that I've got to go and burn in? I'll do anything for my sisters. Guru Pyari Sadh Sangat Ji, we may not have the Shakti for ourselves, for whatever reason that might be. We can deal with that another day. But let's look at this as an opportunity to have that loyalty, that if I can't undertake this journey, because it's so arduous to walk for myself, that what I will do is, I will commit myself, though I am not worthy, though I am unable, I will commit myself, because there will be a Gyani, that someone will ask in 2 decades and 3 decades, how did you become so Gyani? And they will look to reply and say, well, I would sit in my sister's laps in 2024. I would sit in my sister's laps, my mother's laps in 2024, and whilst she didn't know it, but she would try, and she would sanami the Nityanem of Sri Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. Guru Pyari Sadh Sangat Ji, any which way that we can. If we can't have that strength for ourselves, let's look to those that we love and become what we need to be. Guru Govinda kripaa kari rakhya mera pai. This is one of my favorite bhanktiya. I'm not sure we're allowed to have favorites, but in the very quiet secrecy of this room, just my brothers and sisters here, it's one of my favorite bhanktiya from Maharaj. Maharaj says, Guru Govind kripaa kari. So you fulfilled my ardas. What ardas have you fulfilled? You've taken care of my people. What love is this? What more do we need on Mother's Day to think, I'm going to be a mother soon. It's about time that I start readying myself, because I'm going to give birth to nothing less than a king. I'm going to give, when I say a king, I don't mean a male king. For the Gursikh, when we say king, we mean Khalsa. And Khalsa has no gender. Actually, that's incorrect. We are all feminine before the Shakti of our husband Lord. So let's get ourselves ready. Let's think on this Mother's Day, who do I need to be? And if I don't have the strength to be that for myself, understand that the generation that is to come stands before us through me. And I celebrate that divine right. For you have enabled me with this gift. And I've been miseducated with an understanding that somehow that's going to hold me back, when actually it sets me free. Now those words, now that Shabad, it vibrates differently. Be puta mata ki asis. Sare japo. Puta mata ki asis. Puta. Sare japo ji. Mata ki asis. Nimakhan bisaro tumko har har. Sada pajo jagadisa. Maharaj is in this Bhakti comes in the middle of the Shabd is saying, reflect upon this. Maharaj is not just saying, this is my wish for my Gursikhs. But the Guru is far more intimate with his family than that. Maharaj is giving us the path. They're saying, yo, here's a template ardas. Cut this out and make it your own supplication. That your wish for your children, Maharaj is saying to you, that when your children are coming to you and giving you the wishes of the world, you say, I've not done a great job. If that's your wishes, I've got a bit of work to do. But my wish for you is that within your heart you've got love for the Sangat. Maharaj is saying, Amrita pivo sada chir jivo simrita anad ananta rangata masa puran asa kabehne vyape chinta. Maharaj is saying that within your mind you should have no worries if you follow my advice. It's my wish for you that you be fearless. It's my wish for you that in this way, if you follow the Guru's path, and the Guru is dayalu, they are compassionate towards you, that you have no fear in this world. Sadh Sangat Ji, how can we foster fearlessness in our younger sisters and our younger brothers? We can only give what we have, right? Now it's incumbent upon us to become more. And if we can't do that for ourselves, mothers, if we can't do that for ourselves, sisters, let's look to the obligation towards that divine gift that we've been bestowed. We've been given that great gift. Imagine Messi, silly example, but it one that, because we can all relate to this. Imagine Messi just saying, I just can't be bothered to get off the sofa a decade ago. We would all berate that one for destroying such a small gift by comparison to the one that we have as a right, as an obligation, as a gift to bear the Khalsa into this world. Let's not be miseducated. Now the idea of being a mother to the Khalsa, in just a few moments our mind is being completely reframed as to how we look upon this opportunity to be fathers and mothers. And it sounds like I've given the Singhs a bit of a hard time today, as we've neglected them, speaking to our sisters. It's Mother's Day. So we're celebrating this female energy. And it's a chance for us to reflect. There's an example we go to from Sri Guru Harmeet Singh Maharaj. Sri Guru Harmeet Singh Maharaj, the seventh form of Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, the grandson in the physical way of Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj. And there's a Guru Sikh in our Itihas whose name is not recorded, or at least I couldn't find when I was doing the course, when I was doing the research. And this Guru Sikh is going up against a great enemy on the battlefield. And that Guru Sikh in that moment, he does ardas to Guru Hargobind Sahib, to Guru Harmeet Singh Maharaj to protect them. Feeling that ardas, because Maharaj is antarjami, they hear our ardasa even from our own homes, even from within our own mind. Guru Harmeet Singh Ji, they placed their hand upon the head of that Guru Sikh upon the battlefield and he's saved. When he goes to see Guru Harmeet Singh Ji Maharaj, and Maharaj explains to him that I undertook your rakhya, that I undertook your protection on that battlefield, Vichar takes place between the Guru Sikh and Guru Harmeet Singh Ji Maharaj. And in that Vichar, the Guru Sikh says, how comes this warrior is so fierce? Though he be my enemy, I praise his qualities still. But how is it that he's such a prolific wielder of the sword? Guru Pyari Sadh Sangat Ji, listen to this to understand the role of a mother. Guru Harmeet Singh Ji says that when his mother was pregnant with that great warrior, that dushman that you had to bear on the battlefield, when his mother was pregnant with that warrior that you had to face on the field, she would go down to the river to get water from the riverbank to provide for her family in the kitchen, the way that she would serve. And upon that riverbank, there was a lion, there was a sher. And that lion would look deep into the eyes of the mother, and they would pass that Shakti into that mother. Because that distance, that intimacy was there, and the energy of that line would be infused in that mother. And so it was that child benefit from that. Guru Pyari Sadh Sangat Ji, Guru Harmeet Singh Ji would go on to say, because of this mother has become that one that has been born into that house, that this mother has had born into that house, a warrior who will fight like a lion. Now Guru Pyari Sadh Sangat Ji, what Sikhya is this? This Sikhya is not that we should go and find riverbanks and look for lions. The Sikhya is we have to understand the responsibility, the power, and all of the trajectory, all of the lines of destiny, of where the next generation will go. They begin, they are fully entitled, and they're discerned to the mothers and the sisters that will give birth to the Khalsa. That what we look at specifically, what we listen to specifically, what we engage with specifically beyond any other person in the family, the mother is responsible for that direction of that child, from even before the child is born. We think just because scientists say, oh look, the child can recognize the father's voice, the child can recognize the mother's voice, we go that far and we stop just there. If we go a little bit deeper, we find the example of the science of Guru Harmeet Singh Ji Maharaj, that whatever the mother looks at and sees will be exactly where that child goes. So Sadh Sangat Ji, we're here this day on Mother's Day, reflecting upon that female energy that has been commercialized into giving cards and buying chocolates. And don't get me wrong, if you want to stay out of trouble, buy some chocolates and buy a card. Yeah. But the real thought is this: we have mothers that we can look to, like Mata Kiviji. Mata Kiviji would teach us what it means to be patarali. She would teach us that by serving your family, you can give them amrit. Langar daulat vandiye ras amrit kheer ki ali. Amrit kheer ki ali. That it's within the mother's opportunity to serve the children in this way. Guru Arjan Dev Ji's mother would teach us, be the Sikhya that mothers should be giving our children. And we can take no part in this because there's no equality here. These entitlements, these, if you will, obligations, these rights, they rest not with parents, they rest with our mothers. So let's bow before those mothers that have come before us, that have directed us to the charan of the Guru. I'll say that again. Let's bow before those mothers that have indoctrinated others with such Sikhya that have brought us here before the Guru. Let's also look to the sisters in this darbar. And for those sisters that are sitting in this darbar or watching this vichar, have a think within your own heart, have a little bit of courage to be honest with yourself, what direction do you go? Because our younger sisters step only where you go to stand. And I think that's really beautiful. Because in a world that's so caught up with women trying to become equal to men, we sit in the darbar of the Guru and say that women are not equal to men, they're far superior. And lads, there's no point trying to get there because it's divinely indoctrinated this way. We don't seek equality where the Guru has divined it this way. It's a chance for us to celebrate, to unlearn and relearn. And just a final mention once again to those mothers in those 80s and those 90s and those 2000s that endured so much for houses that now stand together. Sober houses that Singhs now stand in the front of, almost as though they made those houses, but in reality, if it wasn't for the strength of those mothers, they would have been torn apart long ago. Singhs, the Sikhya which I share, and I'm speaking to myself here primarily, I'm not speaking to you, I've got no right to speak to you and direct you, I'm just your little brother to most of you. But let's do away whatever shortcomings it is within our own mind. Let's lift our sisters upon our shoulders where they should rightly reside. We should be here supporting them. We should be here giving them such a place where they can express that growth into Sikhi, and we should be encouraging that. And if we find that shortcoming in our sisters, that's not an opportunity to judge. We're so quick to judge and cut down. We're so quick to judge and cut down almost as if we are without any shortcomings of our own, when we should be programmed to be saying, what do you need? There seems to be a shortcoming here. What can I do for you? You're my sister. You may have made a mistake. A mistake is just a mistake. It's not a death sentence, but I'm with you. When was the last time that sentence was said to someone that had done something wrong? Before we judged them, berated them, read out a Retanama or a line of Maharaj, a Pankti from Maharaj, before we berated them, when was the last time we said to a sister, listen, you've made a small little mistake here, but you know what, you're my sister, I'm with you. We need to change it up. We may be physically able to present ourselves as stronger, but the Shakti of our female energy has already demonstrated through 300 years of history that they are the bearers of the Khalsa Panth. Akho Satnam Sri. We do well to remember that and humble ourselves and see how we can serve. So Sadh Sangat Ji, there is so much more that I wanted to share. I'm so grateful. Every now and again the opportunity presents itself, and I'm so grateful to have a chance to come and share from Guru Maharaj's Khajana, which knows no end. You are the Sangat of Sri Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj. So I ask for your forgiveness and your blessings, that one day we can be worthy of our mother's blessings, that one day we could be worthy of our Guru's blessings. You are the Sangat of Sri Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj. We touched upon quite a difficult topic today. We didn't talk about Mother's Day perhaps in the way you thought. I didn't come in with a box of Quality Street, perhaps I should have done. You are the Sangat of the Guru, and if I've made any mistakes or if we've offended anybody, I ask for your forgiveness. Be lekhe kathe na chutti hai khin khin pulan har baksan har baksle nanak par avatar. Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh.
If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Please donate and help spread Guruji's message. Link is in the description below. Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh.
So Guru Ramdas tells to Bhai Tirtha that there is no punya as great as practicing truth, and there is no sin as bad as practicing lie and deceit. Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh. Sangat Ji, welcome to another episode of Sikhan di Bhagat Mala, and today we are starting a new pauri, and this pauri is basically telling us the stories of the Gursikhs of Guru Ramdas Ji. Now Sangat Ji, Sikhan di Bhagat Mala is written by Shahid Bhai Mani Singh Ji based on Bhai Gurdas Ji's Vara, where Bhai Mani Singh Ji is exploring and retelling the Sakhya of the Gursikhs from the time of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. So if you have been following our series, we have covered the Gursikhs from the time of Guru Nanak Dev Ji right up till Guru Amar Das Ji, and now we have reached at the pauri where Bhai Gurdas Ji tells us the Sakhya of Gursikhs from the time of Guru Ramdas Ji. Now in this pauri, Sangat Ji, one thing that I've actually realized is that Guru Ramdas Ji gives upadesh to all those Gursikhs on how they can be liberated while being a family man, a family person, while living a householder's life, which is very much relatable to us, because in this age of Kaljug, we all have families and we work a full-time job or a part-time job. We have many responsibilities, and the question is, how can we meditate, how can we do bhakti, and how can we be liberated while living a full life in this world? So Guru Ramdas Ji helps us to understand and learn the way, the method to achieving that. So in Var 11 pauri number 17, Bhai Gurdas Ji speaks about Sabarwal de Sikh. So Bhai Gurdas Ji says, Sanmukh Bhai Tirtha Sabarwal Sabe Sirdara. So the first Guru Sikh is Bhai Tirtha, and he came to Guru Ramdas Ji, and basically Bhai Tirtha, Bhai Gurdas Ji says that they are the leader of all the Sikh of Sabarwal. So Bhai Tirtha Sabarwal came to Guru Ramdas Ji in Amritsar Sahib, and they asked the same question that every Gursikh asked to Guru Sahib, ki hey Sache Pacha, how can I be saved from this world? How can I attain liberation? Then Guru Ramdas Ji looks at Bhai Tirtha and says that there is nothing, there is no faith greater than practicing truth. So Guru Ramdas Ji tells to Bhai Tirtha ki Bhai Sahib Ji, all you have to do is practice Satya, practice truth in your life, speak the truth, and only do truthful actions. Do not speak any lies, do not do any deceitful actions where someone gets hurt and because of that you have to pay for your karma. So Guru Ramdas Ji tells to Bhai Tirtha that there is no punya as great as practicing truth, and there's no sin as bad as practicing lie and deceit. Now in Asa Diwar Sangat Ji, Guru Sahib tells us this advice, this pankti. They say ki sachta par janiye ja hriday sacha hoye, kood ki mal utre tan kare hacha toye. Sachta par janiye. So first one is, if you have the remembrance of Sacha, of Paramatma in your heart, then you're able to recognize truth in this world. Ki Sach ki ya, what is truth and what is false. Second one is, if you practice truth in your life, which means that your actions are truthful, your thoughts are truthful, your bachan, your words are truthful, then it helps you to connect to the truth, which is Paramatma. And what happens when you practice truth is, kood ki mal utre tan kare hacha thoye. Kood ki mal utre, which means the dirt of kood, of falsehood, which is on our mind, the ganda, the negativity on our mind, on our body, the actions that we have committed. Kood ki mal utre. Guru Sahib said that dirt, that mal is washed away just by practicing truth. Then Guru Sahib says, Sachta par janiye ja sach tare pyar. Then you can recognize truth if you have love for Paramatma. Jara Sach Paramatma, the true Paramatma, Waheguru, if you have love for that Paramatma, you are able to recognize truth as well. And what happens when you practice truth in your life? Now sun man rahsiye ta pai mokh dwar. Ta here means then. If from Paramatma, by living your life in truth, then having that praying for Paramatma, now sun man rahsiye, then we obtain that blessing of Naam for Paramatma. What happened? Ta pai mukh dwar. Then we get to the door of liberation, to the door of mukti. So then what happens if we practice kood? If we practice lies and have a life full of deceit? What does Gurbani say about it? So Guru Sahib says, ek kood lage, koode phal paye. That some people, some people, their whole life, they live in falsehood, in deceit, jhoot bolna, deceive people, fareb, and then, tokkhabazi and all of this. They live their life in that and they enjoy doing that. Kood phal paye. So what do they obtain in return? You're not going to get such out of kood. So if you practice falsehood in your life, all you're going to get is falsehood as your phal, as your fruit. Then Guru Sahib says, what happens is duje pai birtha janam gavaye. So duje here means going to other places, doing other things apart from practicing truth. Then Mara says ki birtha janam gavaye. Then basically the life that has been given to us, this manukh jeevan, is birtha, has been wasted. So what's the outcome if we practice falsehood? Guru Sahib says, aap dubbe. First, you drown yourself in this ocean of Kaljuk, which means that you just get destroyed in Maya. Then what happens is, sagle kul dobe. So you have destroyed yourself by practicing falsehood, and then now you're destroying your whole family with you, which means that you have drowned and now your family is drowning with you. Because if you have not practiced Sacha or Taram, the truth, then how are you going to motivate or inspire your family to practice truth as well? So, aap dubbe, sagle kul dubbe, kood bol bik khavaniya. And by speaking falsehood, bik khavaniya, basically from the same mouth, the same tongue that we speak lies and falsehood and do nindya, chugli, irkha, dway, dupada. Mara says bik khavaniya is just equivalent to us eating poison with the same mouth. So imagine Guru Sahib says that there's nothing worse than lies. Because why? We are bringing sins upon ourselves and destroying our own life. Not just our own life, but destroying the life of our own family as well. So Guru Sahib then told Bhai Tirtha Ji ki sach kamauna, which means that live your life in truth. Sach bolna, speak the truth, think good thoughts, and then your actions must be truthful as well. And this is the way that you can be liberated. So Bhai Tirtha Ji followed the bachan of Guru Ramdas Ji, and truth to be told, this was how Bhai Tirtha Ji was liberated, just by practicing truth in his life. Sangat Ji, it's very difficult to practice truth, because in the age of Kaljug, especially if you own a business or you're working, you're interacting with the world, we have no choice. Sometimes we have to speak lies. And this is something we need to think about, is that are we saying these lies or doing, false actions to save ourselves? Is it for our own, selfish reasons? Then Guru Sahib says that there is not the life of a Gurmukh, there's not the life of a Gursikh. If we are deceiving people just for our own selfish reasons, then how can we call ourselves a Gursikh? And Guru Sahib says that's not the way of life. So as much as we can, Sangat Ji, in our daily life, if need be, if you have to speak the truth, and that's what Guru Sahib says, if you have to say no to false actions or no to someone's deceit or negativity or destroying someone else's life, you have to say no. Despite you yourself might get destroyed or someone might do something, you have Guru Sahib's asra taking care of you. But all you have to do is practice Guru's bachan ki jhoot nahi bolna, and no false actions, no false thoughts where you destroy someone else's life and destroy your own life as well. So Sangat Ji, itne ke beintiyan parwan karni, bhulan chukan di khima. Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh.
Waheguru, 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 Waheguru.
Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh. Congratulations to everyone on celebrating the Sikh New Year. So the Sikh New Year falls on Sangran of the month of Chet, the first day of the first month in the Sikh calendar, which is Chet. And in this video, we are going to be looking at the Pauri of the Chet month in the Bani of Baramaha by Guru Arjan Dev Ji. Guru Arjan Dev Ji is going to guide us and give us teachings for this month of Chet. And at the end of this video, I'll be sharing 3 things that we need to do in this month. Guru Arjan Dev Ji starts off the Pauri by saying, Chet Govinda Aradhye Hove Anand Kana. Everybody in this world seeks peace, Ananda, that state of bliss, of sukha. And even when in the English calendar, in the month of January, when a new year comes, we all have our new year resolution, and one of that is always seeking for happiness. And Guru Arjan Dev Ji says that for us to seek for that sukha, that ananda, the permanent sukha, is through aradhana, is through Naam Simran, meditation on Paramatma. Now we might ask that question, that Sache Paatshah, where can we get inspiration and that guidance or directions to do Naam Simran, and also to ensure continuity when we do it? Guru Sahib then continues in the next pankti. They say, Sant jana mil paiye rasana naam pana. That it is through the Sangat of the saints, the Mahapurkh, the Gurmukhs, that we are inspired to do Naam Simran. We are blessed and we are guided to do Naam Simran. And Sangat Ji, especially walking on the path of Sikhi as a new person, right? It is very important to get that inspiration and that guidance. Just like someone in this world who seeks to become a doctor or a businessman or a businesswoman, what do? We read the life story, the biography, we watch videos of the person who is a successful doctor or a successful business person. And then, being inspired by them, we also try to walk on the same path as well. It is the same thing here as well, Sangat Ji, seeking for that inspiration and guidance from the saints. Raja Shivnap, during the time of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, he was the king of Sangladeep, which is now modern Sri Lanka. Raja Shivnap got inspiration to do Naam Simran from Bhai Mansukh Ji, who has done Sangat of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, who has learned so much from Guru Nanak Dev Ji and was doing Bhakti with the teachings of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And Raja Shivnap listened to the Sakhya of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, was so inspired that he too started doing Naam Simran. He too started remembering Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And one day the time came when through that remembrance, through that aradhana, Guru Saheb themselves came to Sangladip to bless Raja Shivnap with their darshan. Guruji says then in the next pankti, Jin paya prabha apna, aaye tishe gana. That those who have found Paramatma, those saints, those Gurmukhs who have through Naam Simran found Paramatma, they are coming into this world as fortunate, is fruitful, right? And Guru Sahib says that this too can be our situation as well, where through Naam Simran, through meditation, bhakti, we also can find Paramatma, and our coming into this world will also become fruitful. Remember what Guru Sahib say? Pai prapat manuk de horya, Gobind milan ki eh teri barya. Prani tu aya laha lan. That we have come here to gain a profit. Profit of what? Through Naam Simran, union with Waheguru. In the next two panktiyan, Guru Sahib is then giving us that advice on after getting inspiration and guidance through Naam Simran, how should we be doing Naam Simran? Guru Sahib says, Ek khin tis bin jeevana, birtha janam jana. That even for a moment, khin here means the moment taken for a blink of an eye. And it's so instant. The Guru Sahib says, even for an instant, if we forget Paramatma, we do not remember Waheguruji, then that moment, that breath that we have taken has become useless. Our life has become useless, in fact. And then we ask this question again to Sache Paatshah that, Waheguruji, Sache Paatshah, Guru Sahib, you have guided us, you have told us to do kirt kamai, to live in a grishti jeevan. And in this world, we have our families to take care. We have, we have to earn money. We have to provide education. We have to go to work. There's so many things that we have to do. And how is it that through all of this, we can still do your Naam Simran? And then Guru Sahib then says in the next pankti, they say, Jal thal mahiyal puriya ravya vichvana. Understand this, know this, and realize this, that Paramatma, Akal Purkh, is where? Is not just somewhere in a space or in a heaven that we have to, that the world has made such. But Guru Sahib is saying that Paramatma is in the Jal, in the water, in the Thal, in the earth, in the space between, in the sky, everywhere. Ravya Vichvana is even in the jungles, even in the blade of grass that we see. Paramatma is basically in every core of every single atom, cell, heart that we can see and we cannot see in this world as well. Now Sangat Ji, to be able to come to this state where we can remember Paramatma through everything we see with our physical eyes, it really requires us to be conscious, to be in the present moment. Hana? Think about it. The Aradhana, the Simran of Akal can only be done in the present moment. Because past is gone and the future no one knows. So all we have is this present moment which we have to be very conscious about. And once we are conscious and aware about our surrounding, about the people we are with, and we are so aware that Sache Paatshah, you are in the air, you're in the pani, you're in this building. I can even hear you from the sound of the traffic light, from the sound of the rain, the river flowing. And then every moment then we are constantly reminded to say Waheguru, Waheguru. We are in that awe. We are in that state of Vismad where we constantly just say Wah. And we remember Waheguru then. Gurbani says, Khalak, Khalak, Khalak meh Khalak. That the Creator is within the creation and the creation is within the Creator. So it is basically us having the eyes to see that. Now it is human nature, Sangat Ji, that we only believe what we see with this physical eyes. When we look at a glass of milk, all we see is milk. But we cannot see the ghee in that milk. We cannot taste it. We cannot feel it. We cannot smell it. But we cannot deny the fact as well that it is from this milk that ghee is produced. So what do we need to do? We churn the milk, we put in so much effort, so much time and energy, and then finally from the milk we get ghee. Similarly, Sangaji, what we see with this eyes given to us is the creation of a Kalpurak. But it will take a lot of effort, a lot of Naam Simran, Aradhana, meditation, and constant reminder, being conscious and being in the present moment for us to see and realize that the essence, the core of every being in this world is Paramatma. Just because we can't see that Nirgun Sarup Paramatma, we cannot deny the fact that they are everywhere. Gurbani says, Jeh Jeh Dekha, Teh Teh Soi. So that is the state of all these Gurmukhs, all these saints who have done so much of Naam Simran, that wherever they look, whoever they see, wherever they go, they only can experience Paramatma. Through this message, Guru Arjan Dev Ji then says and tells us that there are two types of people in this world. One who do Simran, one who do not do Simran. The first type of people, Guru Sahib say, So prab chitna aave kitda dukh gana. Those who do not do Naam Simran, who do not remember Paramatma, they go through so much of pain, so much of dukkha. Now, even though we might say that, nay, this person is wealthy, his life is amazing. But again, that is what we see with his physical eyes. We do not know what is going through the person's mind. Maybe that person is going through dukkha, right? Bhai Ranveer Singh Ji said, they shared this sakhi in their book. They said that they had one cousin, and his whole life, his cousin has not done any bhakti. And when his time of death came, he was on his deathbed and he was struggling. He was in pain because he had that fear of death, the fear of Jamduds who was circling around him and pulling him and torturing him. And it was only through reading Gurbani and doing Simran with him that he felt at peace. And that is how he left this world. And the second type of people, Guru Arjan Dev Ji say, those who do Simran, Guru Sahib says, Jini Ravya So Prabhu Tinna Pagamana. That those who have enjoyed Paramatma, those who have found Paramatma through Naam Simran, they are so fortunate, they are so blessed. And even though they might go through so much of pain, Bhai Mati Das Ji, Bhai Dayala Ji, Bhai Taru Singh Ji, they went through so much of physical pain, but they were still in that state of Chardikala, in that state of high spirit. They were not bothered by the pain that they were going through because they were already in that state of Ananda, in that state of bliss. And Gurbani says, Tan Tan Pag Tina Sant Jana Jo Har Nama Har Mukh Kehte Hain. That they are so blessed, the Bhagats, the Gurmukhs, that recite the name of Paramatma with the mouth, with their tongue. In the end of this Pauri, Guru Arjan Dev Ji does this benti. They say, Har darshan ko man lochada, Nanak pyas mana, Chet milaye so Prabhu, Tinke paye laga. Guru Sahib tells us, and this is the ardas that we should do as well, that I'm so thirsty, I'm yearning to have your darshan. And in this month of Chet, I will touch the feet, I will bow down to them, I will kiss the feet of those who unite me with you, who guide me to do your Naam Simran, to remember you, and eventually unite me with you, Paramatma. And just like, when we feel hungry, Sangaji, when we feel thirsty, and someone comes and gives us pani, gives us food, at that point, we are filled with the sense of gratitude to Paramatma and to the person who has brought us food and pani. Just like food and water is necessary for this physical body, similarly for the spiritual body, the Atma, Naam Simran and Gurbani, it's the Khurak, the food for the Atma, and it's equally important as well. And so Sangat Ji, coming to an end, what are the 3 things that we need to do in this month of Jade? The first thing we need to do is start doing ardas to Paramatma every day to please bless us with the true Sangat, with the right Sangat that will guide us and inspire us to do Naam Simran, to read Gurbani, to walk on the path towards Waheguru Ji. And the second thing we need to do is that alongside our ardas, we need to put in effort as well. Watch videos, kathas, listen to kathas about Sangat, about what is true Sangat. Where do we find Sangat? There's so many Sakhya in our Itihas that speaks about Sangat. In fact, Sangat Ji, let's start reading the life story, the biographies of all the saints and the Gurmukhs who through Naam Simran have found Paramatma. We have so many of these Guru Sikhs, and all these resources, Maharaj di Kirpaa de naal, is available to us. All we have to do is put that effort and read them. We have the life story of Bhai Rantir Singh Ji, Bhai Rama Singh Ji, Baba Nand Singh Ji, Baba Harnam Singh Ji, Sant Gyani Gurbachan Singh Ji, and many, many more. They are even available both in Punjabi and in English as well. Physical books, audio books, PDF. So reading them and getting inspiration from their life will really help us to walk on that path as well. And the third thing we need to do in this month is reflect on our surrounding, our environment and our own Sangat. Ask ourselves this question: this Sangat that I am in right now, is it guiding me? Is it inspiring me to do Naam Simran, to walk on the path towards Waheguru? Or is it taking me away from that path? If it is guiding and inspiring you, it's positive, it's good. But if it's a negative Sangat, it's taking you away from your very core, your very purpose of life, then we need to evaluate the type of Sangat that we are in and start doing ardas and putting in that effort to find the right Sangat. And once you're able to do that, Sangat Ji, in this month, do share with us in the comment below how your journey has been in finding the true Sangat, putting in that effort. Did you go through any challenges when you were finding for that Sangat or evaluating your current Sangat now? So don't forget to like, share with your family and friends so that other people too can get the message of the month of Jade. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel as well. So forgive me for any mistakes that I have made. Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh.
चेत गोविंद आराधिए होवे आनंद कणा संत जना मिल पाइए रसना नाम पढ़ा चेत गोविंद आराधिए होवे आनंद कणा संत जना मिल पाइए रसना नाम पढ़ा संत जना मिल पाइए रसना नाम पढ़ा.
I was never the most talented, never the flashiest. I relied on grit. Other players might have been more talented, but I can assure you, no one was going to outwork me. The secret is in the dirt. I learned early on in my life, through many challenges, that I could change my circumstances with hard work.
You can't outreal me. You can't outwant me. You can't outwork me.
No one will outwork me. No one.
I will not be outworked.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
You know, you might have more talent than me. You might be smarter than me. You might be sexier than me. you might be all of those things. You got it on me in 9 categories.
The sheer concentration that is required to pursue a dream, you see, it's not for everyone, but it was for me. I yearned for the daily grind, and I couldn't get enough of it.
99% of people are not willing to do what it takes to make their dreams come true. The Marines have a saying, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. And that's just real. At the center of bringing any dream into fruition is self-discipline. Self-discipline is the center of all material success. You cannot win the war against the world if you can't win the war against your own mind.
Work. That's how you get it.
The work pays. Hard work pays, and I put in the work, and that's why I'm sitting at the top. I put it all on the line. I show up, I perform, and I get the results from that.
That ability to get myself up in the morning, no matter how tired I was, to push myself through those pain barriers.
The bridge between reality and a dream is work. A focus on the work. I show up and I work and I work and I work and I work.
Everybody wants to be a beast until it's time to do what beasts do. You can't just say you want it. You can't watch the video and say, I want it as bad as I want to breathe. It's cute to say it. But when it's showtime, when the sun comes up,
all you can do is all you can do. There ain't nothing more than all you can do. That is the absolute maximum. You can't do no more than all you can do. You understand that? All you can do is all you can do. All you can do is everything. That's the absolute ultimate, right? It's all you can do is all you can do. But all you can do is enough.
The only thing that you can control that influences success in life is how hard you work, how honest you are, and how well you deal with others. You can control those variables. You can't control how lucky you are, although the more you work, the luckier you get. You have no influence on the intellectual capabilities that God did or did not give you, but you can work as hard as possible. You can be scrupulously honest so that people respect you, and you can get along with others because nobody does anything by themselves.
Did you have to pay a price, though? You personally?
Well, I think that everything is an either-or. There is a price in everything. You can study or you can go out and play. You can defer to others or you can try to hog the credit. You can be honest and suffer the consequences, or you can lie, cheat, and steal, and short-term, maybe even advance. But long-term, you are better off if you work harder, you are better off if you're honest, and you are better off if you give others credit and get them to help you by helping them.